There's this place at the center of Paris called the Étoile. It circles the Arc de Triomphe. It is the worst traffic circle in the world. My father lost a very good friend there, a fighter pilot friend who used to boast that he could fly around the Étoile and nobody would ever get him. And he died there. Thing about old fighter pilots, they have their haunts. And my dad did not realize that the Grande Corniche was going to become one of those for him. We set out on what is supposed to be like a scenic ride down from France into Italy on a mountainside route called the Grande Corniche. The reason my dad had insisted on bringing along his own car to France, which was a 1962 Studebaker Hawk, beautiful car, was that he wanted to be able to protect us from all the crazy French drivers. What he didn't realize was that it was the worst car to bring to the Grande Corniche because it was like a lane and a half wide. So he has his wife and 2 children in the car with him, and he is driving on this narrow track through the Alps. On the right are the mountain cliffs. On the left are the remains of ancient Roman walls through which there are holes, through which other cars have fallen, all the way 2,000 feet below. And he has several hundred miles to drive to get to Italy. Now, it didn't take long for us to realize just how dangerous this all was. It was unexpected. It was ghastly. Because you couldn't see who might be coming around the corner ahead. Because French drivers are French drivers. And yeah, you might survive a collision, but who knows? So what you do is you're looking over the left and you see nothing but Mediterranean. You're looking to the right, you see nothing but cliff. And this goes on for hours. I mean, hours. And Dad is driving. And you can see the focus he must have had as a pilot. Because every particle of his being is focused on getting us through this particular gauntlet. And at this point I connected with my dad in a way I probably never had before. It's I could see, I could feel what was going through his arms as he was holding onto the steering wheel. I could sense every fear that he had, even his fear for us. And my mother is in the passenger seat, and she is, what is she? She is our mother. She is his wife. She is implacable. She is not yammering at him. She's not doing any of the things that you see in the movies. She is just there for him. Can you imagine that? Have you seen that in your life? When your mother is just like there for your father. I mean, she was there for him more than she was there for us even. And that's what we wanted from her. It's like she is feeding him strength. Because after everything he went through in World War II, this has to be like an incredibly unexpected experience. So we roll on and we go around the corner. We never know there's somebody coming around the other side. And we go down and we go down and we go down. It's like, and my sister and I are like, what are we in the back seat? We are frozen, I guess. We know that we depend on everything he is doing right now, and we trust him absolutely. But it is still incredibly scary to look out the left-hand window and see nothing but the Mediterranean. And not knowing what crazy man is going to come around the corner. And they did. They did. They came around the corner. They passed us. So we had... there's no way to like break it down into like moment by moment stuff. It's not like Stirling Moss's Mille Miglia, although it was, of course. But I mean, he had an official biographer and historian sitting beside him, like, who's going to write it all up later. I can't tell you every quarter we passed. I can't tell you everything we did. It was the most terrifying time in my life, and this is going to become more real to you when I tell you about what happens that's even supposedly more terrifying later. And we finally arrived. We got there, and there was Nice below us, and we couldn't stop. We didn't have reservations there, so we went on, and we arrived at a place called Menton, which it turns out was like one of the hottest jet set spots in France at the day. And we found a little hotel, and we signed in, and my mother actually had to pry my father's hands off the wheel. That's how hard it was. So we get into this, not cushy, it was like a lovely little hotel room in Menton. And they had a beautiful beach, which had like these, silver dollar-sized pebbles. And we went and we sat on the beach. We were all glad to be alive. And then that night we went to the little cabaret that our hotel in Menton had. And you could call it like post-traumatic romance, which hasn't been identified officially as a syndrome, thankfully. And we're sitting in this like 20 by 30 cabaret room, dark, and this young woman comes on, and she starts singing. And I forgot to tell you that way back in Paris, we had also acquired an album called Piaf of Paris, in which I had fallen in love with the voice of Edith Piaf. And all of a sudden there was this young woman who starts singing Piaf songs in this little cabaret in Menton with candles burning in the dark. And she's also small, I mean, like the little sparrow was. And she was singing Piaf songs. What happened? So, did I run out of disk space?